Welcome to Design Curiosity. Design Curiosity is a brand new podcast series aiming to bring interdisciplinary talks rooted in the design field. And we hope to spark curiosity towards design by exploring interesting niche and hidden narratives that we might not be encountering during our daily lives. So for today, for our first episode, we have an amazing guest, Emmanuel Martini. Emmanuel is a French-born and Belgian independent perfumer, founder of the global perfume composition house ESCENTIAL CPH here in Copenhagen. He launched the cross-Nordic perfume brand En Doft in 2021 with Swedish and Danish partners. From 2016 till 2024, he collaborated closely with the Danish candle brand Esther and Erik, contributing to a wide range of projects. And today, ESCENTIAL CPH creates bespoke fragrances, positioning him, Emmanuel, as an independent parfumer, combining artistic vision with technical expertise. So welcome to Design Curiosity, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
So to start with, I have a broader question. It may sound maybe just easy and simple question, but I'm not sure if the answer is that simple. So I also wonder what the answer would be to this. But the question is, how does our body perceive smell? How does the brain work with scent, and how does it process it? How do we perceive scent?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is such a broad question. So the scents are made of molecules. Every smell, and this is at that point what we call the chemical signal. And when those molecules they reach our nose, they go up right into the nasal cavity, and from there you have an olfactory bulb. And that olfactory bulb holds a lot of receptors. And we may have around 400 these receptors. But it's not like they work as a combinatory code. So, for instance, a molecule can have two specific keys, and it will open two of the receptors. But some of the molecules can go up to 10 keys. So you have to see the molecules as a bundle of keys. And once this information are decoded, then they transform into electric signal. And that's the reason why they can go up our brain. And from there, there's three branches, but mostly the first one will be this chemical signal, this electric signal, will go straight to the amygdala. It's the center of emotion. And then it will split, and actually it will reach as well the memory center, which is like the hippocampus. And I mean, this is where we know that actually when it reaches the emotion center, there's always an overlap between smell, emotion, and when it reaches the memory, you know that it will be attached, it will be paired with a memory, because we always smell in a context. So we smell in specific places with specific people. So basically, the process of registering the smell is about detection first, then you have the coding, then you have the memory and emotion, and then what we could call, I'm not sure I have the right word in English, but conscientization, when we are conscious, where we weigh the smell, when we can attribute it some emotion, some description. So this is more or less the four main stages of how we process a smell. In fact, we don't really smell with our nose. We smell with our brain. The nose is just a tool, and a tool is how you use it, how you put it, where you put it. So, yeah. I mean, when you smell anything, isn't it? I mean, I think I find it quite funny that actually a little bit of those molecules, they are going straight into your brain. So you smell a rose, you smell some spices, you smell some unpleasant smell, and a little bit of them are into you, inside you. I mean, so it's always something to consider. Smelling is, we don't see it; it's invisible, but it kind of have something very concrete in it. Yeah.
So I also wonder, I feel like, let's say there's this certain smell or scent that you might be perceiving in a different way, and it might trigger different feelings on you, and the effect on me of the same scent might be different, and I might be feeling total different things. So in that sense, I wonder how the culture and cultural backgrounds of different people affect how we perceive scent. Is there a relationship?
Yeah. I mean, biologically, we were all the same. We're all sharing the same olfactory system. But what we recognize, value, or reject may be influenced by a cultural context, by our cultural background. First of all, we know that smell is never neutral. It's always learned and interpreted, emotionally, coded through personal experience. And even though biologically we share the same olfactory system, we might recognize and value the scents influenced by our culture. Well, before I thought it would be shaped by our culture, but finally reading some studies, I realized that it was just an influence. If you look at the Western culture and their relation to the smell, this sort of out of control thing. In spaces, in bodies. Everything should be deodorized. I'm not going to say clean. It would be kind of derogatory for other cultures, but kind of like hold together, you know. So it conveys some kind of neutrality. In the Middle Eastern or in India, for instance, the scents are more present on a daily basis, and they are separated. They're part of daily rituals. They're part of hospitality. They're part of spirituality. If you take the example of the oud, incense, or attar, you know, they are cultural markers for those cultures, which may not have that to that extent in Western world. But there are also some universal patterns. You know, we tend to agree that floral fruits are more like pleasant smells, while decaying smells or sulfurous, like what you have in onions or rotten eggs, are slightly less unpleasant, or I mean, rather unpleasant, you know. So there's biological layers about that. So cultures, they play a role, but it's more nuanced than it is fundamentals, you know. It's not necessarily overriding biological preferences. There's one thing I always remember is the vanilla, such a beautiful ingredient in perfumery. It seems like when we are at the stage of fetus in our mother's belly, it seems like we're exposed to that molecule, especially even more during the breastfeeding period. And the milk will contain that molecule. Therefore, it makes it probably the most beloved molecule on Earth by the most people. You know, it's very difficult to find someone who would really dislike vanilla, you know, around us, or at least on all the continents. This is something you will find quite commonly in perfumes, food. So, yeah, vanilla is a great example of how we are influenced biologically to our previous exposition and experience, even though we're still, you know, not out in this world.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know.
You know, people, they may be more familiar with certain smells, as we just mentioned vanilla before. but it doesn't mean they will like it. They like it more. It's just the cultural background will influence the familiarity with certain smell, which we can refer to olfactory training, which is in our culture very poor, you know. But we don't have at school a special training for perfumery. We've been taught about the colors, we've been taught about materials, wood, who's making the wood. But have you ever heard anybody at school teaching you how we make perfume, how we smell this? Did you have any workshop where you had to experience smell from spices, ingredients, everything you find in your own kitchen, for example, in your garden? I mean, it's not that common. And the cultural background influence also the tolerance. It's I mean, a very common example is maybe, I don't want to make it a cliche, you know, but in Middle Eastern people, they have a higher tolerance to perfume than we have in Europe, but in Japan they may have a lowest one. So that's the tolerance. And then you have the symbolic. So this last layer is about what is it you describe as luxury, as sacred, as domestic as well, you know. So those 3 layers, when you look at them, when you read them, the first one is universal because biological reaction to molecules. The second one is individual. It's about personal memory, experience, preferences. And finally, the cultural layer is about learned meanings and practices, how you implement that into the ritual, the religion, and just at church, you know. So all those cultural layers, the culture in general, it will refine the perception of the smell. It doesn't define it. And then it's up to you to grab it and make something out of it. And this is probably why you become a perfumer.
Maybe now going into more specifics of scent design. I first of all wonder how you decide to work with scent in the beginning. And I also wonder how your work process is working with designing scents.
Well, when it comes to my background, my childhood, well, I got the chance to grow up between my grandparents' farms in the south of France, and the smell of the heated pine needles on the floor in the summer, and the fig trees, and I mean, it seems smell is everything down there, you know, everything. And you get very much stimulated even as a kid. You don't have to specifically go to the scent. It just come to you, you know. So I can see that throughout my ingredient selection. Leaning toward smells ingredient that comes from that area or south of Europe. So, and I know that, yeah, I've been influenced by my childhood and where I grew up. So regarding the question, how to create a fragrance? Well, how do you create a fragrance? Well, that's a process. What kind of perfume fragrance you like? Are you into citrus fragrances, for example?
Something's fresh,
Okay,
so
that
not
is
heavy, but
yeah.
light and fresh.
Yeah, so citrus is actually a pure family, you know. Well, we'll see. Maybe we can talk about citrus cologne. Cologne is the old name for citrus family. It's in relation to the German Cologne, of course. Well, I mean, I've been taught a method which is the Jean Carl method. It was such a great man in perfumery. He's not alive anymore. But he kind of like set up a method where you smell the family against others, and you would start with the citrus, and then you would go into the subcategories where you have the herbaceous, you have the green notes, then you move to We go on to the other families like the florals, and inside the florals you have the white florals, the rosy florals. Then you go on to the woods, then the ambers, and then the musks. And then if you want to create a fragrance, you must come up with a picture, a mental image, you need to figure out what you want. Making a fragrance is not just blending ingredients and see where it brings you.
I guess, like also cooking, you know where to end when you start. So it's how I reach that end. Is it correct? Or
Yeah, I mean, the mental image will help you, and also the knowledge in chemistry, knowing your ingredients will help you to find the main way, the main road. You will start with what kind of citrus? Do you want like a bouquet of citrus, or do you want to focus more on the lemon or orange citruses? When you've decided about that, so if you take some beautiful lemons, you can add a lot of rosemary, for instance, to give it some sharpness, some vibrance, and it will smell also a little bit green. You can support that, of course, with synthetic ingredients. What I'm referring now, what I'm talking about now when it comes to ingredients are either both synthetics or natural, and the synthetics is where the magic happens. Basically, it gives you the foundation, the structure, and then the natural ingredient will bring you the life into it. So the lemon will probably be natural, and the rosemary too. But then you need your backbone, and you will use some kind of transparent wood materials, which we can name today as iso super, for example, a very common ingredient. And then upon that, you build your heart, and perhaps we can add like beautiful white transparent bouquet, which doesn't necessarily smell like rose or lily or jasmine, but something transparent, the sensation of a petal. And then you counterbalance that with some woods, of course, because it's very transparent so far. And then you can add also some musk for as a support, so to extend the perfume, so it doesn't disappear too fast. Then here you are. You have your perfume.
I feel like there can always be something to add, but
Yeah.
having that decision, okay, this cannot have more, it's maybe the hardest decision. I don't know.
It's about making decision.
Yeah.
Today, I've decided it will be finished.
So I can see you have some examples with you today.
I brought 2 ingredients I'm so obsessed with. I brought some olibanum. I'll show you a whisper. So you just keep your mouth slightly open, and then you go from left to right. You try not to touch your nose, because then you can't smell anything else. You don't need to take a big breath, because the molecules, they travel, they will reach your olfactory bulb. Yeah, as you go slightly slower, yeah. You know why we do that? Because then molecules, they go up in both nasal cavities, nostrils. Yeah, there's 2 ways of smelling. For smelling, there's the orthonasal and the retronasal. Retronasal is so by the mouth, through the mouth, and when you chew ingredients, actually, beside flavors, what we call flavors are in fact nearly 70% of aroma of perfume compounds. So yeah. I like to smell it because it cleans my palate, when I smell too many things, or it's something I always have to get around, and on the blotter, and I smell it, and instantly cleans everything. Much more than coffee beans that can find in shops. And I do think actually we should say to those people, enough with the coffee beans. Rather use some olibanum instead.
I think I have maybe two main memories that come to my mind. First, it's my childhood summer vacations.
Mm-hmm.
it's like those what is it called? Coming from the pine trees, the sticky.
Yeah, the sap. Yeah, the resins.
Yes, the
yeah.
resin.
Yeah, I mean,
think-
there's a bit of that, of course. It comes from a tree. It's the sap from a tree, you know. We tap the tree and we collect it. The olibanum comes from a trees, because there's different species that we call Boswellia. And you have the Carteri and the Serrata, the both main quality we use in perfumery. One is more from Africa, and the other one will be from India. I mean, I'm not surprised that it reminds you of the pine tree. Yeah,
And
because this is a fresh version, you know. I mean, fresh, like, you know, not burnt, you know. Yeah.
And the second one is some time ago I traveled to Indonesia with a friend. Her mother's side is from there, so she could actually arrange a nice trip. But we also had some like stops to get some massage, like foot massage, body massage. And it also felt like I was in one of those, just enjoying and calming down, relaxing. Maybe they also use it in some of the oils. I don't know.
They might be using it here in oil massage or even burning it, you know, incense.
Maybe.
It's such a big tradition over there. Yeah. I mean, you know, incense. We put in that big category of incense, olibanum, frankincense, but you also have the opal and you have the styrax, many others, you know, but these are the most common. We use it to create to make the agarbatti in India, for example. But this is such a common molecule. I mean, universal. Sorry. Yeah. I barely know someone who doesn't like olibanum. It came probably to Europe because of the religion and also the wars, unfortunately. But yeah.
But I also cannot imagine this as a perfume that I would use. But I can imagine it as some sort of spatial scent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're referring now is those famous layers, and you've been exposed to it, and you smelt it in a special context. So it does perhaps convey more like ritualistic or special dimension to you. Well, but it's such a beautiful note. I mean, when you use it in perfumery, I think, to me, in a composition, it brings some depth and some sacrality, some preciosity. I mean, it makes the perfume greater, you know. It's of course woody, it's resinous, it's also lemony, terpenic, terpenic, which is very much about woods and citruses. But I get that idea, that sensation that it might be difficult to wear, but not for everybody.
But maybe it's also because this is more concentrated, I guess.
Yeah,
When
in
it's
that case,
mixed
yeah.
with different things, maybe it's more suitable.
Yeah. We would reasonably, we should use a 10% dilution of the ingredients into ethanol. Well, today I came with the 50% because I'm so obsessed that I like when it's concentrated, you know, powerful. But I do have another one, which is more reasonable to smell today. And I also have this fascination for that one. I mean, gosh, why I'm being like that sometimes. You know,
That's only a good thing when you work with scent, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it's also because you have to know your ingredients, And when you know them, it drives you, it drives the creativity, and it drives your brief and where you want to go. And then you smell one, and then you want to play with it. You want to build something with it. And that one is the immortel. This is how we call it in French. It might be in English, everlasting flower. And in Latin, it's got such a beautiful name. It's called Helichrysum. Helichrysum, the dress of the sun. And this is the flower that never dies.
Interesting.
And then I have that obsession that I could put it everywhere. I mean, but it's also a very difficult ingredient to work with because it's a natural ingredient. It gets a lot of components into it. A major one is the neryl acetate. And it's kind of like rosy, but it does also have some hay aspects, and it's a bit boozy. It has licorice, dry, warm. I mean, it's the smell of the summer to me, honestly.
I have a fully different perception of this.
Tell me, I mean, it's interesting. Let's confront our visions. And
it's like I'm entering a newly designed interior. Like a house. It's newly designed, and especially the woodwork is finalized. So it's right after the woodwork is done and placed.
Yeah.
It has that kind of smell, like freshly carved, made wood.
I mean,
so
this is really interesting.
That's the feeling I get. I enter a room fully newly refurbished with wood.
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. And you know what? It brings me something new about just listening you, and I will remember that, Yeah, because lately I've been struggling so much with that ingredient. I mean, I can incorporate it in formulas to bring some nuts that I want to have thanks to this ingredient. But today I want to make a perfume which is helichrysum centered. Oh my goodness, this is so difficult. If it's for my brand, he has to come in fine fragrance, he has to come in candle, he has to come in room spray. And this is not difficult per se to do it as a fine fragrance. But then when you need to transpose it into a candle, oh dear. Here's the trouble.
It is a difficult scent compared to this. Because this, like you said, maybe it's just easy to like. But this has a very specific scent for me.
It's an identity,
It is, and I would, yeah.
It's green as well. It's a statement.
Yeah, I'm a bit mixed about this. It's a hard one. I like it, but I'm not really a fan of it.
Yeah.
I think it can become too much immediately.
Yeah. It's a good thing. It's only 10% dilution, Imagine when you smell it pure. Well, I mean, when you would smell it pure, it will be a little bit more spicy. It will be warmer, Yeah. I mean, there's this beautiful perfume. It was made, I think, late 90s. Oh my God, I wish I created it. It's called Sable, and it's ambery perfume and immortel into it. And I've been trying to redefine a new way of using it, which is not like their way, but I always get back to that one,
But I'm voting for this one for now.
I hesitated with another one. I mean, I just don't have. I don't have just one obsession. I have many.
So I also have another question. It's mostly also because I'm personally interested in hearing more. Well, as an architect, I'm more involved in spatial design and what works with human behavior, and sometimes the scent doesn't even come into play at all. we don't think about it as much as we think how things look like and how things feel like when we walk around. So I wonder what or like how scent can contribute to designing spaces and what would be that relationship. Can you
Yeah.
also talk about that?
Yeah, well, there's many angles. First, I think it depends on the place. Yeah, and I've been reading some interviews from of designers and architects, and what comes back often is in restaurants you don't want to very much use perfume, but you don't want either the organic smell to remain too much. You want to clean the space, of course, and so I mean, what I have read, and this architect recommended that we would use very few porous materials. So it would be like smooth surfaces, so the molecule they don't stick to it, they don't grab the materials, and you use man uses also oiled woods, textile with some treatment, so the molecule they don't get absorbed. So, but when it comes to OTAP, for example, I think the contribution is major. It's very massive because you walked into a lobby and I mean, the hotel is it's a scene. I mean, beautiful hotels, of course. We're talking about category 5 stars, 4 stars, and they stage their hotels. Beautiful furniture, beautiful uniforms, beautiful counter, everything's the lighting. And when you walk into these hotels and there's beautiful smells, curated, that I think, they pay attention to details and it's curated. You walk into something very curated. That's the contribution. But I think also small, they can less intentionally contribute to your experience. Listen, when we walk to hardware stores, there's a smell there. And that smell, those smells, they come from the product and the industrial process because it's all about petrochemical and you are walking into a hardware store because you could be eye blinded and you will know you're in there. So that's the contribution. I mean, the smell also can contribute to, I always have as a principle, I always found that fine fragrance, but the smell you wear we do them so you can smell nice, you can smell good. And the home fragrance, we do them because you feel comfortable with them, around you. So you have also smell in the context of exhibition more and more because it's also a way to connect things together, to put them together. I mean, it will still work without the smell, but the simple fact to implement a smell in an exhibition, it's a bit like here you are, here you're breathing, here you're smelling, you're present. I'm doing that for an exhibition that is running actually in Denmark right now, currently. I've done more than just one, of course, but that one is very interesting. It's called Breathe, and it already started in February in the museum called Holstebro Museum. It's in the very north of Denmark, and it will be moved to Sorø Museum soon. And that exhibition is called Breathe, and it's an exhibition by Sophie Dupont. She's a Danish contemporary artist. We know each other for many years, and we always wanted to do something that involves smell. And she came last year in the middle of the summer in my quiet workshop in Norbro, and she asked me if I could create a scent, and let's bring some vibe, we'll smell that one. So it's another ingredient I'm so obsessed about. It's pink peppercorn as the main ingredient.
So this is what you used in the exhibition.
Yes. I mean, it smells slightly different in the paper than it will be in the exhibition. And that's why I invite everybody to come to that exhibition. I mean, yeah, on the paper, the peppercorn is very living. So, but while in the air it travels, it's ozonic, it's terpenic, it's refreshing, and at the same time it's dark.
Very refreshing. And it smells also something that comes naturally in a way.
Yeah, it's a natural extract of pink peppercorn. It's a berry, indeed. We call it wrongly pepper, but it's actually a berry. Yeah, it's because it's picante, But I think it's a beautiful ingredient in perfume. It creates such a beautiful opening, and when she asked me to create that perfume, she's like, "Oh, I want something that makes me want to breathe," and immediately come up to me that ingredient. And as a matter of fact, we call that perfume a scent that makes you want to breathe. So,
I mean, testing it, I can also approve it matches the name of the perfume.
And the exhibition is about breathing. It's about being present and be conscious about how we breathe. And she even invited me to be part of the exhibition. So, I mean, in the exhibition, there's a set of screens, and they've been film recorded, breathing, chest naked, and so we can see the movement of the body, and we're breathing through a list of emotion. I mean, this is a very interesting exhibition. It learns you how to connect with your breath. Yeah.
And when is it coming to Sorø?
So the exhibition is still happening in Kunstmuseum in Denmark, in north of Denmark, in Holstebro, and it will be taken down in June and moved to Sorø Museum. So it's on Sjælland. It's very nearby. So I invite everybody in Copenhagen to come by. And it will start again the 3rd of July until the 18th of October. So plenty of time,
So if people miss it in Holstebro, they can also have the chance to catch it in Sjælland, in Sorø.
Yes, yeah. Especially if the people, I mean, it's a little bit far removed. Holstebro, it's quite a trip, So Sorø is extremely more accessible. So, yeah. And I will be there for the opening. So.
Yes, so don't miss it. When I mentioned about the space and design in this context, the exhibition itself, I'm also thinking, like you said, the exhibition would happen anyways without the scent, but it just adds another layer. It becomes more multisensory to actually experience the exhibition. And scent, we talked about how it is also closely connected to memory. I think it also probably brings more personal connection to the exhibition. Maybe like the smell they can experience in the exhibition, they might bring some memories, and maybe that brings another layer to the exhibition as well, a personal layer to the exhibition. So
for sure, it will stimulate, it will trigger something, at least emotions. I mean, I remember that exhibition I did for 3 Days of Design 2 years ago. It was called Selected Object, and it's an exhibition created by Birgit Madsen, and it happened in the Danish Workshop for Art, so Statens Værksted for Kunst, and that was all about design inside the old wood workshop, and she asked me if I could recreate the smell of a pine wood in the context of that wood workshop. And I do think it was extremely relevant because it really helped to tie everything up together, to bind all the dimensions, the sight, the sound, the touch, but also then the smell. You walked into a place which could be seen quite natural, and then you bring it back to life by adding that layer of smell. And of course, the pine tree is something that most of us have been exposed to through furniture and everything.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned 3 days of design, you also have another project coming up that we can experience there in June, I think, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was invited still by the same designer, Birgit Madsen, and she's the curator for an exhibition called Summer Nights. It will start the 10th until the 12th of June, so it's very short. And it examines the atmosphere of a summer night in Copenhagen through material, presence, and spatial installation. And on this occasion, I've been asked to compound the smell of the lilac with a slightly salty touch of the ocean. And it's very subdued, and it will be diffused in that beautiful gallery space just across Rosenborg Castle on Gardasgade. Yeah.
So plenty of opportunities. I had the chance to smell some of the things here, but I hope and I expect people are also curious to see how it contributes in different settings. So there are plenty of opportunities that you can go and actually visit Emmanuel's work around Copenhagen and in Copenhagen as well soon. As I mentioned early in the talk, that I was excited to have this talk with you, and now that we unfolded different aspects of scent and design, I'm actually more excited. So I could actually hear more, and I'm sure we could just talk about this for, I don't know, more hours for sure. But it was a great pleasure to talk to you.
It was a great pleasure too. Thank you too in return.
And yeah, as the aim of this podcast, Design Curiosity, is to spark curiosity towards design, but from the hidden parts and maybe not very much on the spotlight parts. And I think scent is maybe one of them. So I'm also glad that we could cover that as a first episode as well. So thank you very much once again.
You're very welcome for a second too, because we could talk for hours and days, and it's an endless topic. So be my guest.
Maybe next time we visit your lab, the kitchen.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Another interesting episode might be coming with this. But thank you very much, all of you. And we hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did, listening and hosting it. And hope to see you in the next episode. Well, that's the official ending for the recording now.